In a shocking twist, actress Tatiana Maslany casts doubt on a second season of She-Hulk, attorney at law due to budget concerns.
You know, Disney has really been having a tough time lately when it comes to hitting those blockbuster highs. Both the MCU and Star Wars franchises seem to be losing their spark. But wait, there's something exciting coming up. The new Deadpool movie, featuring Wolverine and starring the always charming Ryan Reynolds alongside the legendary Hugh Jackman, is just around the corner. It's already zooming toward that impressive $1 billion mark at the box office, and fans can't get enough of it. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows behind the scenes. There's some tension brewing, especially with Tatiana Maslany. She was supposed to have a big role as She-Hulk, but now she's in a bit of a pickle with Disney and Reynolds because her part got cut. So, what's going to happen next for Deadpool and the ever-changing Marvel Universe? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Have to have a world where Deadpool and She-Hulk could share a scene because they'd never talk to each other.
Yes, they would just truly...
So, Tatiana Maslany really had high hopes when she jumped into the MCU, dreaming about how She-Hulk would make the leap from TV to the big screen. She was especially stoked about Deadpool and Wolverine because she heard She-Hulk would have 2 cameo spots. One of those was supposed to be an epic showdown with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Fans were really looking forward to that awesome MCU and Fox crossover moment. To get ready, Tatiana put in some serious work, spending 2 weeks training hard to show off She-Hulk's strength like never before. But wait, there's more. The second scene was meant to be a bit more fun. She-Hulk would pop up in the third act, playfully ribbing both Wolverine and Deadpool while breaking the fourth wall, just like she does in the comics we all know and love. It was supposed to be a funny and bold way to highlight the differences between the classic Fox characters and the new MCU faces. Tatiana really thought these scenes would elevate She-Hulk and prove she belonged among the top-tier heroes. But then, things took a turn. In early test screenings, her fight scene didn't get the response they hoped for. Audiences felt her performance didn't quite match the intense energy that Jackman and Reynolds brought, which made it seem a little out of place. Unfortunately, this meant her scenes ended up being cut from both the theatrical release and the director's cut. So, what does this mean for She-Hulk's future in the MCU? It definitely leaves us all curious.
He did not.
Imagine though, he could. He has the power.
Yeah. Ryan, fellow Canadian here.
So, here's the scoop. Tatiana Maslany, the talented actress behind She-Hulk, is really upset, and she's not keeping it to herself. Ever since her show got the axe and was quietly tucked away by Disney, she's been on a bit of a rampage. And now she's turning her attention to Ryan Reynolds and his blockbuster Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which just crushed it at the box office. But what's really got her riled up? Well, there are whispers that a key scene featuring She-Hulk in Deadpool's latest adventure was cut by Ryan Reynolds himself. And that's just the start of it. Her frustration grew even more when she discovered that Reynolds was the one who pushed for her removal. Insider chatter suggests he wanted to keep the focus on the legacy Fox characters like Deadpool and Wolverine, which really sidelined her and made her feel like her hard work didn't matter. The part that hurt the most was when they cut She-Hulk's third act appearance. That scene had her confronting Deadpool and Wolverine about their antics, creating a fun clash between 2 beloved characters and the new MCU edition. It was her moment to shine, showing off her comedic side and strength. But Reynolds felt that adding her would mess with the film's tone, claiming fans just wanted the nostalgia of their favorite legacy characters, not newer heroes taking center stage. Now, Maslany is pushing back, asking for her scenes to be included in a special edition of the film, though it seems Reynolds isn't on board with that. Feeling a bit sidelined, she's also saying she wasn't fully compensated for her role, which just adds more fuel to the fire. And get this, she's even thinking about legal action to make sure she gets the recognition and compensation she deserves for all the hard work she put in. So what's next in this drama? Fans are definitely curious.
Maslany had one of the most mixed reactions ever doing She-Hulk, but now she's announced the show is over and she is out. Tatiana said season 2 is not happening because...
So, it looks like we've got another casualty in Marvel's Disney Plus cutbacks, and it's got fans buzzing. After all the overspending on projects that didn't really land, She-Hulk Attorney at Law seems unlikely to get a second season. In a pretty candid chat on Codename Live, The New Class, Tatiana Maslany admitted, "I don't think so. I think we blew our budget and Disney was like, no thanks." Can you believe it? The show's 9-episode run cost a whopping $200 million, but with tight schedules, the CGI was a bit of a letdown. Some scenes had to be patched up after they aired. While She-Hulk tried to mix social satire with superhero fun, it got hit hard by backlash, with some fans calling it too woke because of its feminist themes. Maslany bravely pointed out that this backlash wasn't just random criticism. It's really rooted in sexism, which makes it tough for new female-led stories to find their footing in the MCU. And Maslany's frustrations didn't end there. After her scenes were cut from Deadpool and Wolverine, she felt it highlighted a bigger issue in the MCU. Fresh, diverse characters being pushed aside for legacy male heroes. There was even a cut scene where her She-Hulk character was supposed to confront Wolverine and Deadpool, breaking the fourth wall to call them out. But despite her efforts, Ryan Reynolds reportedly wanted to keep the focus on the Fox legacy characters instead of bringing in new faces from the MCU. This led Maslany to accuse him of sexism for wanting to leave She-Hulk out of the crossover. But, insiders say it wasn't really about that. It was more about keeping the storyline tight and focused on the fan favorites. The drama didn't stop there, either. On set, Reynolds apparently got frustrated with Maslany's requests, viewing them as disruptive. Meanwhile, she felt that his control over the project showed favoritism, thinking Disney execs were bending over backward to cater to him while leaving her in the dust. Her outspokenness hasn't come without its consequences, though. Criticizing Bob Iger might have impacted her future with Disney, and her legal threats over compensation for Deadpool and Wolverine have just added more drama to the mix. It's a tough situation. While She-Hulk introduced a really unique character to the MCU, all the backlash and production issues led to its early exit, leaving Maslany feeling sidelined from the major developments in the universe she was a part of. What do you think? Should the MCU change how they handle new characters?
Also did confirm to us, tragically, that it doesn't look like we're going to get a season 2 of She.
It really feels like we're in a strange time in the entertainment world right now. Money seems to be the top priority, pushing aside the stories that truly matter to us. It's a bit disheartening when the folks in charge seem so indifferent to the narratives that could inspire creativity and connect with audiences. That's why I have so much respect for the writers who are on strike right now. They're doing something really important. I really hope SAG joins them because the challenges we're facing are pretty serious. Many people who have poured decades into their craft are now facing job insecurity, and it's wild to think that folks are losing their healthcare over this. Just unacceptable. Take Tatiana Maslany, for example. She's in the thick of it all, and her frustrations go beyond just her disagreements with Ryan Reynolds. She's been really vocal about her concerns with Disney CEO Bob Iger, especially during the SAG-AFTRA strike last year. She called Iger completely out of touch after he made some controversial comments about the Hollywood work stoppage. When she was on the picket line in New York City, she said, "I think he's completely out of touch with the workers who make his shows happen." That hit hard, especially since She-Hulk is a Marvel series backed by Disney+. Iger's claim that the demands from writers and actors were unrealistic just showed how disconnected he is from what's really going on in the industry. And when he said, "This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption," it really ticked off a lot of people in Hollywood, including Maslany, who felt like their hard work and concerns were just being ignored. On top of all that, her relationship with Ryan Reynolds adds another layer of frustration, especially with the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine film. She feels like her being left out of that project is a symptom of a bigger issue in the Marvel Universe, where new, diverse characters like She-Hulk often get pushed aside for the classic male heroes. Reynolds is all about focusing on legacy characters, which leaves fresh faces like hers feeling overlooked. It's a tough spot for Maslany, caught between Iger's decisions and Reynolds' creative direction, making her fight for recognition even harder. When Eager made those comments, SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher didn't pull any punches either, calling his words tone-deaf. She pointed out that he seems so disconnected from the everyday struggles of workers who earn a fraction of what he does. Maslany's brave comments show how committed she is to supporting everyone behind the scenes in the entertainment industry, as she works to find her place in a space dominated by well-established male heroes. The stakes are pretty high. Right now, Disney and Marvel haven't even confirmed a second season for She-Hulk, leaving her future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe up in the air. But she's not backing down. She's fighting for the chance to be seen and heard in a franchise that she feels she truly belongs to.
Tatiana Maslany is an actress you might recall. She recently starred in the Disney Plus series She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
You know, Tatiana Maslany, the actress we all know as She-Hulk, is really stepping up as a strong voice for inclusion in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. She's super passionate about getting more meaningful representation out there, and it all comes from her genuine love for the character. She really believes in pushing for female-led stories, especially in a space that's often been dominated by male heroes. With Disney's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion (DEI) initiative, She-Hulk was designed to represent a fresh start, featuring a powerful female lead and diving into important themes around gender and identity. But let's be real, her journey hasn't been a walk in the park. At first, there was a ton of buzz around her series, but it didn't quite take off the way she wanted, even though it had some groundbreaking ideas. Things got even more frustrating when she filmed extra scenes for the highly anticipated Deadpool 3. Those scenes could have really showcased She-Hulk's potential. But guess what? They ended up on the cutting room floor. That left her feeling pretty sidelined in a universe where she believes her character should shine a lot brighter. But Maslany isn't backing down. She's out there advocating for She-Hulk's spot in future MCU projects, especially in big events like Avengers: Secret Wars. Her goal? To make sure She-Hulk is seen as more than just a side character. She wants her to have meaningful story arcs that resonate with fans. As conversations about representation in media keep evolving, Maslany's fight highlights the need for stories that truly reflect our diverse world. It's clear that She-Hulk is ready to step into her rightful place in this exciting universe.
Yeah, about that. It's true. I am a Hulk. And I'm guessing you're not going to...
So, here's the scoop. Ryan Reynolds is currently juggling a tricky situation with Disney's push for a bigger diversity and inclusion agenda within the Deadpool franchise. He gets why diversity is important, but he's a bit worried about how it might change the character that fans love for his edgy humor and irreverence. For Reynolds, Deadpool isn't just a job. It's a project he's poured his heart and soul into, creating a unique story that really connects with audiences. The creative team behind Deadpool, Reynolds, director Sean Levy, and writers Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, are pretty protective of the franchise's signature vibe. They're all for introducing themes around social justice and diversity, but they definitely don't want to lose what makes Deadpool, well, Deadpool. Reynolds fears that if these elements are forced into the storyline, we could end up with a version of Deadpool that's just not the same, losing that wild humor and politically incorrect charm that made it such a massive hit. This tug-of-war is highlighted by Tatiana Maslany's push for inclusion, which seems to clash with Reynolds' desire to keep the creative integrity intact. Maslany's vision for She-Hulk thriving under Disney's DEI initiatives contrasts with Reynolds' concerns about staying true to his character. At the core of this whole debate is finding that sweet spot between promoting representation and keeping the essence of what makes these franchises great. While Reynolds fights to protect Deadpool's unique flair, he's also chatting with other creatives in the Marvel Universe. He's been in talks with folks working on projects like the Blade reboot and Daredevil Born Again, all in a bid to advocate for mature content in the MCU. Content that can sit alongside the more family-friendly stuff without losing its edge. Now, with Deadpool 3 and Wolverine closing in on the big $1 billion mark at the box office, tensions are bubbling, especially with Maslany. Despite the film's huge success, it seems she's had some run-ins with Reynolds and Disney execs over her scenes getting cut from both the theatrical and director's cuts. After training hard for 2 weeks, she filmed some cameos, including a pretty epic fight against Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. But during test screenings, her performance didn't quite hit the mark compared to her co-stars, leading to the tough decision to cut her scenes. Now Disney is in a bit of a tight spot, trying to manage the rising tensions between Maslany and Reynolds. With Deadpool already raking in a jaw-dropping $1.3 billion worldwide, Reynolds is a key player for Disney, and they've got to be careful. They need to keep him happy while also addressing Maslany's concerns to avoid any PR mishaps. Maslany has been pretty vocal about feeling sidelined and is pushing for more representation and visibility in the MCU, advocating for narratives that empower women and feature diverse leads as part of Disney's DEI efforts. But even with her commitment, she's still feeling the sting of being left out of the promotional spotlight for Deadpool 3. Meanwhile, Reynolds wants to keep Deadpool focused on entertainment rather than diving into heavy political narratives. He's been clear about not wanting the franchise to fall into the same pitfalls as other Disney projects, like the live-action Snow White remake. So, in this tangled web of ambition, authenticity, and artistic vision, the future of Deadpool is hanging in the balance, and fans everywhere are watching the drama unfold. You know, the film has really faced a lot of criticism lately, especially when it comes to how it handles diversity in casting and storytelling. Even with Disney trying hard to be inclusive, the public response hasn't been great, and that's hurt box office numbers too. It's a reminder that just throwing in representation without a solid story can backfire big time. The situation between Ryan Reynolds and Disney's DEI initiatives has gotten pretty tense, especially with Maslany throwing around legal threats. It makes things feel even more urgent, right? And Disney not releasing her filmed scenes in a special edition? That just adds to the frustration, leaving fans to wonder what could have been. This whole thing really shines a light on the messy evolution of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It brings up some tough questions about where to draw the line between artistic integrity and corporate inclusivity. Reynolds is worried that if they force DEI elements into Deadpool, it might take away what makes the franchise special: the humor and the edge that fans love. He believes the character's charm is all about challenging norms and keeping things fresh. As he fights to keep Deadpool true to itself, it feels like he's caught in a crucial moment for Marvel Studios. With the original Avengers stepping back and mixed reviews for Phase 4 films, he sees Deadpool as a chance to breathe new life into the franchise while staying true to its roots. His team is even thinking about pitching some darker, more mature themes for future films, hoping to strike a balance with the family-friendly vibe of other Marvel stuff. But then you've got Disney's commitment to DEI-driven narratives, complicating things even further. As Reynolds teams up with other big names in Marvel, he's convinced that coming together could help them persuade Disney to make room for more mature content in the Marvel Universe. This isn't just some behind-the-scenes drama. It's raising some big questions about where both Maslany's and Reynolds' projects are headed in the MCU. Fans are left wondering, how will all this tension affect the franchise we all know and love? You know, having worked on a Disney show, I've really seen how some talented folks can easily fall through the cracks. It's honestly frustrating to watch so many people get taken advantage of in this industry. I mean, can you believe how much wealth gets concentrated at the top? Meanwhile, the real magic makers, the crew, cast, and writers, often get so little for their hard work. We really need to talk about this, because every amazing moment on screen is thanks to these incredible people who totally deserve more recognition and fair compensation.
She-Hulk was initially supposed to have a significant role in the third act of Deadpool and Wolverine. However, her shoots were...
Wow. This behind-the-scenes drama really shows how tricky things can get in the MCU, right? Creative control, representation, and money are constantly at odds, and it's definitely causing some waves. Maslany is really pushing to keep She-Hulk in the limelight, which just goes to show how hard it can be for new characters to stand out next to the big names. I mean, with Deadpool and Wolverine set to make a ton of cash, it looks like Reynolds' approach is working for him. But it also raises some big questions about what that means for everyone else. Did you hear that Reynolds has even threatened to quit future films if Disney keeps pushing DEI ideas that he thinks could hurt the franchise? That's gotta be tough for Maslany, who truly believes in those values and wants to see them shine in the MCU. So what's next for She-Hulk? Will she get what she's fighting for, or is she at risk of being forgotten? Honestly, I'm on the edge of my seat, waiting to see how this all plays out. What do you think? Should Disney have kept Maslany's scenes, or was Reynolds right to prioritize the characters? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for all the latest from the MCU. See you next time.